Hey everyone, welcome back to Outpost Review. My name is Patrick, and I just wanted to welcome you to the channel. This is our we're coming up on the beginning of our third week soon, and we just want to thank each and every one of you for following and subscribing and sharing our content. If you haven't followed our main channel yet, please go subscribe to our main channel, which is Smoky Mountain Outpost. The link is also down below. Today's video is going to be about the upgrades and adjustments that my dad has made to the tractor on the front and the back end. I know a lot of you have had some questions regarding that. We did cover that in our main channel a long time ago, but every once in a while it's not bad to kind of refresh and kind of update maybe some of the adjustments that we've been making to it. And so I hope you enjoy this video. I just wanted to say hello to you, and I hope you're enjoying kind of going in between and having a little bit of us each and every day, whether it's Smoky Mountain Outpost or Outpost Review. So thanks again. Look forward to seeing you back here.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Outpost Review. I decided to start going over some reviews on some of the equipment that I've been using, because I get a lot of different comments about it. And I figured this is the first one that I actually did a review on. I think it was season 1, episode 3 or 4, when I actually got this tractor and started modifying it. But get a lot of people asking about it, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of cover it again. So I hope that this information is helpful in some way to somebody that has a tractor or may have some of the same similarities in the projects that they're doing or thinking about doing in the future, like I'm doing here. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the very first modifications that I did to the tractor was actually these hooks. I had these plates welded right here in the corner. I purchased these things, I think it was at Harbor Freight. I don't remember how much they were. They weren't expensive, but I drilled a couple of holes in here and actually put some bolts, and so that provided me with a means to be able to hook up to something with the front end and either be able to pull it or to be able to lift it. So let me give you a closer look at this. So I actually have two of those. I have one on this side of the bucket and one on this side. I tried to have those mounted as close to this arm as I could and not have them extended out here, just so that any weight would be pulled back in line. But what that allows me to do, these straps I also got at Harbor Freight, and I think they're rated at 6,000 pounds, which is more than sufficient for any log that I will lift. But what I do primarily is wrap this around the log, hook this on the hook, hook this other side. Then when I tilt the bucket up, it actually captures the log, so to speak, keeps it from swinging, and then I can lift it up and I can move with it. Now the tractor, this 3901, the front end is rated at 1,100 pounds to be able to lift, but I have found that if the log weighs a little bit more, that I can actually pull in with this raised up a little bit and actually grab hold of it and twist it back like this and get it high enough to where I can travel with it, and then I can also get it on top of the bunks on the sawmill, even if it won't lift it up this way. I have had some people say, well, why don't you get forks for this? I think I spent $20 for these, or maybe it was $20 a piece. The forks, I did check into them. They're like $300 or $400, and you know, there's nothing wrong with exercise. So getting off the tractor, running that around the log, hooking it up here, I've hauled any log that I could with the forks. The forks would be easy for me to just pull up and lift it up and go, but then it also creates more length for me and be able to be that much tighter for me to move around in the woods. Especially with that boom on the back, you know, that limited my movability somewhat. But this works just fine. Like I said, it's no problem to get off and hook this around the log, and it was a whole lot cheaper. Anyway, so that's the first modification that I had done. The second modification that I made, I had this box blade here on the back because I did a lot of this dirt work up here myself. Of course, it took several passes, but they have rippers on the front of them, and I actually pulled down enough dirt. I built a berm behind that sawmill and pulled enough dirt to actually fill that in about this deep, and ran over it and ran over it and ran over it to actually build the area where the sawmill is. And then of course later I had a bulldozer come up and finish this house seat up here. But this is a valuable tool for scraping the driveway and different things that you may need for it. But it serves as a counterbalance to the front end, because when you're lifting logs, since this is a compact tractor, depending on the way of the log, it makes it want to be front end heavy. So I needed a counterbalance, and this offers, I don't know, maybe 500 or 600 pounds of counterbalance. Still yet, 1,100 pounds on the front is still quite heavy, and I ended up adding this boom here on the back, which adds another, I don't know, maybe 200 pounds, 150 pounds, which gives me more counterbalance, plus I'll be able to actually pull something that I possibly can't lift, which there's been some instances where I've had to do that. But every time I wanted to hook up to the trailer or to pull something, I actually had to take the blade off and put this on, or take the blade off and put my trailer hitch on. This is another modification that I made, which took time, and it's just one person, me. You know, you may have to stop and adjust things. So I thought, well, now how can I engineer this where it can all be one piece and save me a lot of time? So what I did was I welded on 2 pieces onto the box blade right here. This is a piece of 1/2-inch metal. I welded it right to the frame of the box blade right here. I also had to add a small shim which actually goes over the portion of this brace right here. But this right here is a quick pin that I can actually take out if I need to, like this, to where this actually comes off just like it would on the tractor. But this allows me to be able to hook this up or take it off the same as it would the 3-point hitch on the tractor. So once I got this one welded on and the other one welded on, I had to have a way that I could actually hook it up to the tractor so that it wouldn't tilt, or I could tilt it if I needed to. So what I did next was I took this drawbar from an old tractor that I had, and since this right here had a second hole that I could actually put a pin in, okay, I ran the drawbar into this right here, and then you see the other drawbar pin right here, which actually goes to the tractor. That stabilized everything vertically. So basically what I had done was I created a second 3-point hitch. You got 2 points of contact on the bottom, like on the arms of the tractor, plus you got 1 point of contact right here, which is your vertical lift. Anyway, so with that said, now I had the ability to have extra weight on the back, plus I could actually hook up to something, lift up on it, and I could also drag it through the woods in the event that I couldn't get to it with the front end loader, or I wasn't able to lift it. At least I could drag it up here, and then I could possibly roll it up on the sawmill with the tractor. So the next thing that I did was I needed a way that I could hook up to my trailer without having to unhook all of this and using the drawbar on the tractor. So what I did was I had a piece of 4-inch solid metal that was welded to this plate right here on the box blade. Now this is not very thick metal, but what it did was it provided me a way to slide this hitch up over the top of it, drilling a hole and putting this pin in there. Allowed me to be able to hook up the ball hitch actually to the box blade. After I had done that, I had loaded up the trailer at one point with some lumber that I had cut, and I noticed that when I was pulling it, I noticed this plate right here flexing a little bit. So I thought, well geez, if I have much more of a load in there, I'm going to need some more support and some more strength. So what I decided to do then was, these are two old drawbars from my older tractor that just kept it from swinging from left to right. And I took those, I kind of looked at it, and I figured, well, you know, they're about the right length right there. If I just weld them onto my actual hitch up high enough to where I could drill a hole through this, which is what I did, and I put another quick pin in there, that would provide that some support from doing this number, which it has. I can put any kind of load I want to now, and it actually pulls to this right here. So, which again pulls to the tractor. So this allowed me the ability to be able to leave all of this on and still back up to the trailer, pick up on it, because it is about this high, about 2 inches above where this blade touches the ground. So I can still use the box blade if I need to, and I can also back up to the trailer, lift up into the hitch on the trailer and secure that and be on my way. So I didn't have to take anything apart or hook up to anything extra. It's all right here. Now I keep these chains hanging here because, as you see, I do a lot of logging, but I've got a 20-foot chain right here, I've got a 10-foot chain right here, and I just leave them hooked up. But I'll show you where I keep, I made some compartments to actually store the chains when I'm not logging. Okay, the way that the front end loader attaches to the tractor is by this huge plate right here, which is mounted basically to the motor and the frame of the trailer. And there is actually a big hole here because that pipe has a big plate on the end of it, and this is where this is welded onto the end. It's like an extension to get it out away from the tractor. So there was actually a 4-inch hole here in this, I don't know what that is, 3/8 tubing, whatever it was that they used. It's fairly substantial. But I thought, well, that's just a waste of space. So I took a piece of 4-inch PVC, I smoothed it out a little bit, kind of tapered the edge, and I drove it up in there with a 2x4 and a sledgehammer, probably about 2 inches, and it was tight, believe me. I put a coupling on the end of it, and then I got a plug. Right here I've got about 16 to 18 inches of storage space, and I can put extra chains in there, and they can actually ride in there, assuming that maybe I didn't have the box plate on the back or the boom where I could actually hang the chains, instead of just having them hanging all over the tractor, maybe getting caught in some of the lifting equipment. I can just basically shove these chains back in this hole here, and I have a large storage space that I can actually get the 20-foot chain in there, and I can get the 10-foot and the 4-foot in on the other side. So that was a good use of wasted space that I could actually carry some equipment. Now I guess, as you can see, I stuck this in here. I've been chopping wood up there, but I have the ability to carry an axe, which also comes in handy. And depending on the size of it, I can carry a camp axe or this hatchet right here. The larger axe, the handle is just a little bit big to get in there, but it just gives me the ability to have an extra tool that I could use in the woods. The other thing that I modified was the ability to carry my chainsaw. Even though I may have used the big saw to cut down my trees and got the logs ready to go, a lot of times when you're in the woods, the chainsaw comes in handy as well as an axe does. So I needed the ability to carry this so that I always had it with me, okay, just in the event that I needed it. So what I did was I bought an extra one of these bar covers, and I actually unbolted this support right here for the fender from this right here, and I actually drilled and tapped another hole over here and just used a piece of metal to go across, and it goes down in between this bar and the fender, and it's kind of wedged in down there, and then it's attached right here. But if I need to, when I get off the tractor, and since the chainsaw is left facing, I can just lift it out like this, and I've got the use of my chainsaw, and then I can put it right back right there, and it rides right here, and it's not going to bounce out. The other modification I made, I needed a way to lift the post and beams up in place without anybody getting hurt. Now I could create an A-frame, which would basically give me a sky hook that I could actually lift them in place, or I could figure out a way to modify the tractor. So what I did was, there is a quick connect where this lever right here and this lever right here, pull them up, and I can actually drop the bucket and hook up to other types of equipment. So I actually have a head that is part of the lifting system that always stays on the tractor. So what I did was I actually took and bought some 2-inch square quarter-inch tubing, and I was able to slide that down through, weld it to the front of the head, and then it slid under the support bar that runs across. It went underneath that, and I was able to spot weld it on the back there. So this is always part of the tractor. So now what I did was, is after we got done setting the post and beam, I actually cut it off. And my intentions are, I haven't done it yet, but is to get a little bit larger tubing that I can actually slide down over this, drill me a hole, put me a quick pin in there, and drill another hole up here, where I can actually put that boom back on, slide it down in there, and I can pin it there, and then I can have the use of that, because it really came in handy. It was an extension of about 10 feet long, and I welded 2 hooks just like I did right here onto the end of that, and I used these straps right here, and I lifted all of those beams in place. Now if you want to see that, go to the playlist to the timber frame videos, and you can actually see the work where we were setting all of those. It really came in handy. Now the total extension with this extension on here, I could lift between 17 and 18 feet high. Okay, it really came in handy. Of course, it's a little, if it weighed too much, I had to kind of maneuver the bucket to where you couldn't just extend out and lift up, or just extend out and pull back. I had to kind of come in low with the extension up like this to where I could grab it with these and lift up, because the farther you get away from your pivot point, the harder it is on the pump in order to lift it. There were a few of the 7 by 10 inch beams that was a little difficult to lift, but with my son's aid, by just lifting up on the front of this extension, it was plenty enough to aid with the pump to get it to the position to where then it could work easily. But that allowed us to safely lift those in place, where I didn't want anybody to get hurt on ladders or anything like that. So that allowed us the ability to be able to do that. So that was the other modification that I had made. There's a small toolbox here that was mounted on the back. I actually moved it to the front so that I could see better looking down the back on the 3-point hitch and the ball and different things that I needed. So these are some of the modifications that I made to this Kubota that really made it multifunctional, and I don't really have to disconnect anything. So I thought that I would kind of cover that. I've had a lot of questions on it, and I kept referring people to that video, but since I had so many questions, and this is a new channel where basically we do tool reviews, then you know, I figured that it would be nice to go ahead and go over this again and maybe answer a bunch of questions. Now you can't go out and buy a Kubota like this, and I wondered, you know, if they seen it, they may want to come up here and try to patent some of these ideas that I've done. But this little compact tractor, I couldn't have done anything up here that I've done at the Outpost without this little 4-wheel drive tractor. Actually, it's front wheel assist. It's not true 4-wheel drive, but according to what I've read. But without the aid of this, I couldn't have done any of it. And it has served so many purposes and done so many jobs that this is a very, very, very valuable asset. And by just a little bit of modification, you know, you can do a lot of different things if you just have a welder, if you've got any kind of idea, you know, and it being done safely, then there's a lot of additional things that you can do with a piece of equipment like this. There's one other thing that I might want to mention to anybody that may have a compact tractor like this. I took the wheels and I actually rotated them. I took this wheel off the front over there and moved it on this side, which gave me a little bit more width. I took the tires basically and did the same thing. I actually had to take this adjustment out back here in the wheel. I took this adjustment right here and I actually moved it here. Plus I also rotated these tires because used to this was much closer to this, which gave me a wider wheelbase. Even though it's not as stable as the full-size farm tractors, by doing that, like I said, I probably gained 6 or 8 inches on the front and the back just by doing that, which makes it more stable, because I've had logs on here even with that adjustment right there and I always carry a log with the bucket low to the ground once I get out over stumps or whatever, because if you carry it high you run into the possibility of tipping. And I have had the tractor on 3 wheels before, but the log very low to the ground, so it doesn't come up very far until it hits right there. So be sure if you're doing any logging that you carry it low to the ground. But with all these additions, like I say, this tractor, it's very, very, very useful here on the farm for all different types of applications. So hey guys, I hope that this answers some questions maybe on the tractor that you may have had, like where did he get that, how did he make it or whatever. That's pretty much in a nutshell how I did it. And I, as I ran into issues and trying to think about how I could make things better, those are the ideas that I came up with. You all may have some different ideas, but these work for me, and I just wanted to share that with you. We really appreciate all your support on our main channel, Smoky Mountain Outpost, and so far all of the support that we're getting on this new channel right here, we can't thank you enough. We're looking forward to the monthly giveaways just like we do on the other channel, so be sure and start looking for those in December. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so, because it does help us to get it out to YouTube, to other people through the algorithm. And we greatly appreciate that, and all the comments, please keep those coming. We appreciate those too. Anyway, hope that everyone has a great afternoon. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with me here while I went over some of the modifications that I made on my Kubota. I look forward to seeing you up here at the Outpost again next time. Everyone take care.